welcome to this episode of Lost in Translation. I wanted to do this YouTube channel because as a native German speaker, I grew up hearing and speaking idioms, phrases and sayings every day, and we Germans do love using our expressions as much as possible. Now living in England, I find myself often wanting to use my German expressions in certain situations, but then struggle to find the right translation for them, as the literal translation can be highly peculiar, and their meaning often cannot be retrieved from the words itself. By the time my head figures out a suitable translation for the saying I would normally use in German, the moment of using it most of the time has long gone, ending in me blurting it out anyways, and then launching into lengthy, awkward explanations about why I went quiet for quite a long time during a perfectly normal conversation, and then burst out with some weird sentence nobody understands the meaning of. Actually thinking about some of the sayings in more detail, whilst trying to translate them into English, I realized that I use idioms all the time, without really knowing where the hell some of them came from. Like, da wird doch der Hund in der Pfanne verrückt, which translates to, the dog in the pan is going crazy. It is a saying we Germans use to emphasize that a situation is highly bizarre. But who came up with this idiom? What inspired that person to think of a dog in a pan to describe a bizarre situation, and not a cat in the toilet or a banana on the roof, for example? And how did it spread across the whole German language? I will get back to this particular saying in a different episode. However, my curiosity was sparked, and in this podcast I want to get to the bottom of the origins of some of the funniest German sayings that I personally think should be integrated into the English language. In this episode, I want to discuss one of the most frequently used German sayings in everyday speech, which is, das kann doch kein Schwein lesen. If I would translate this word for word into English, it would read, that can but no pig read. It sounds like something that Yoda would say, I know. I don't think it is a secret that most people, even Germans themselves, deem the grammar and sentence structure of the German language to be quite complicated and confusing. In one of my English boyfriend's audiobooks on learning German, the author says, the easiest way to get your head around German sentence structure is to think, how would Yoda say it? And you will get pretty close to a grammatically correct sentence. I never thought about it that way, but as soon as I heard this and tried it out on a couple of sayings and sentences, I asked myself, could Yoda be German? But back to the idiom, kein Schwein kann das lesen, which would more accurately translate to no pig can read this. We use this phrase whenever we can't decipher somebody's handwriting. However, we also use the term kein Schwein, kein meaning no and Schwein meaning pig, quite a lot in all kinds of senses, like kein Schwein ruft mich an. No pig is calling me. Das interessiert doch kein Schwein. No pig is interested in this. Or kein Schwein war da. No pig was there. In all cases, no pig is a phrase used for exaggeration, emphasizing absolutely nobody or no human soul can read this, or is calling me, or is interested in something, or was at a certain time and place. But why do we use the word pig when we actually are referring to human beings? The most commonly believed explanation is that the phrase originated in the Middle Ages in northern Germany. Back in the medieval times, not many people could read or write. This was reserved for a fraction of the population. Those who could not seldomly earned their money with it. The family Swede from northern Germany allegedly was one of those intellectual families who made a business out of it, and offered their reading and writing services to the people in the area. Sometimes the document was written too sloppily, and in the case of such an illegible document, the customer was sent away with the famous phrase, not even a Swede can read this. Their last name Swede, written S-W-I-E-N, is the word Schwein, so pig, in northern German dialect, called Plattdeutsch. Plattdeutsch, by the way, means flat German in English, and references to the flatlands of northern Germany. The phrase therefore has nothing to do with the animal pig, but derives from the last name of a famously sophisticated family in northern Germany, and spread from there to the whole of the country. There are a couple of other theories out there I quickly want to mention as well. One says that the word Swine, which is the old word for pig, used to have a different meaning, which was that of a young man, young servant, shepherd or lad, and therefore the phrase no pig does not refer to the animal, but a young, inexperienced and therefore also insignificant person. Another source says that the phrase is referring to a respected legal counsel called Peter Swede in the 15th and 16th century, and not the family Swede from northern Germany. If you said dat weet kein Swede, which again is platt German, you said if such an educated person as Peter Swede does not know, no one else can know it. However, I read a little bit about Peter Swede, who was definitely famous back in that time in Germany, as he, among other things, burned a child and its mother from a neighboring town alive, whilst they were sleeping in a barn. The reason? The child was born out of wedlock, and it offended him. Different times back then. However, this act of violence aroused the wrath of the neighboring community and started a long-lasting feud. This was just the start of quite a list of political and religious battles and feuds he was involved in, but in none of the articles and sources I read it emerged that he was known for his intellect or literacy. I personally believe the story of the family Swede in northern Germany to be the most conceivable origination, maybe also because I do not want to give credit for it to a man like Peter Swede. What do you think? Thank you so much for making it through my whole monologue, and I hope you kind of liked it, or at least didn't hate it, and that you maybe will subscribe, please.